Singapore has lost its top happiness spot in Asia to Taiwan. It has also dropped 4 places to 34th in the Global Happiness Index study. More than 140 countries and territories were assessed in this year's World Happiness Report, published by the University of Oxford, Gallup, and the United Nations. Assessments were made over a 3-year average and across 6 variables, and these included social support, GDP per capita, healthy life expectancy, freedom, generosity, and perception of corruption. Rankings were determined by more than 100,000 global respondents. Singapore's current position is the lowest it has ever been, similar to its ranking in 2017 and 2018. Finland takes the number 1 spot for the 8th year running in a top 10 list dominated by Nordic countries. The US drops a place to 24th, while Malaysia slips 5 places to 64th. Perception of corruption in Singapore is the lowest in the world, and the country claims the top ranking. It also places 24th in terms of generosity, assessed by monthly charitable donations. Now, what drags Singapore's ranking down are perceived social support and freedom. Respondents feel they may not get as much help as they need from relatives or friends. They're also not as satisfied with the freedom of life choices. Despite some shortcomings, one observer says Singapore is still making good progress, with local research also pointing to strong family bonds.
Singaporeans have been talking about many pathways to happiness, right? Many pathways to success in life. And I think we've been trying to do that, right? Giving students, young people, the opportunity to try out different things and to not feel that, okay, this is only one way to be happy in Singapore or to be successful in Singapore. So I think we're on the right track. Yeah, we'll get there eventually. But we cannot deny the fact that some other countries are ahead of us.
East Asian countries may rank high among the world's economies, but they did not score as well when it comes to being happy. China coming in at 68th place, down from 60 in the previous report. Japan ranks 55 compared to 51 previously, while South Korea stands at 58, slipping from 52. This year's report focuses on the theme of caring and sharing. It has found that having meals with others is strongly linked with well-being across all global regions. It also shows that factors outside economics, such as social support and community, can contribute to happiness. But it also notes an increase in anxiety, worry, and stress around the world. Now, the world's happiest country, according to the data, is Finland for the 8th year in a row. Other Nordic countries, Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden, also dominating the index. The United States has fallen 1 spot to 24th this year, its lowest ever ranking. Costa Rica and Mexico have placed in top 10 for the first time, ranking 6th and 10th respectively.
It's a good thing to put a spotlight on places like Costa Rica and Mexico because they are achieving high levels of life satisfaction in their population with a different set of, with a different recipe, with a different set of ingredients. So they do not necessarily have the high income GDP per capita and the redistribution through the welfare state. What they do have, and this is also something we focus in on this year, is they have a very strong family set of family ties, so their immediate community is very strong.
And joining us to tell us more about how Singapore fared in the World Happiness Report is Melvin Tay, Research Associate in the Institute of Policy Studies Social Lab. Mr. Tay, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So Singapore has become unhappier. What might have been driving the drop in happiness?
Well, thank you. The first theme that comes to mind would be the social support, social networks. We do know that social connections significantly influence our happiness, and we do also have studies done in tandem with that at the Institute of Policy Studies that show that over the last 5-6 years, the number of close friends, or the average number has dipped for Singaporeans. We are going from average of about 9 or 10 in 2018 to about 6 in 2024. And this well, the less robust social networks or the lesser number of friends that we have or close friends that you have contributes to that reduced overall happiness. And this is especially so amongst youth who, report higher anxiety, lower satisfaction levels. And reduced social networks mean that fewer people to rely on, during times of your need, less support during periods of stress, fewer opportunities for, emotional release or meaningful conversation. And, as human beings, we seek companionship, emotional support. When these relationships weaken or are non-existent, individuals would feel perhaps more susceptible to mental health issues, anxiety, depression, of course, contributing to reduction in happiness.
Why do you think we are here at this point?
I think one part of this would also be due to how we've seen in the COVID crisis that, with that lockdowns, with the reduction in opportunities to communicate, interact with others, we do see that reduction in opportunities to interact with others. Together with that, there's also that related theme of, marriage and parenthood. And of course, while many often associate these with, stress, parenthood, marriage also strongly correlates with joy and fulfillment. We do know that Singaporeans who are married or have children frequently report higher life satisfaction. So, due to that emotional connections or perhaps that sense of purpose. And together with that, we do see also, your typical cost of living concerns, inequality concerns or perceptions of inequality. And of course, that comparisons being made with others or perceived lack of social mobility that can create some disillusionment, and of course exacerbate some feelings of inequality, unhappiness that perhaps, one's lot in life is not fair, or perhaps, that upward mobility is increasingly difficult. All these contributes to stress, contributes to, the lack of joy, diminishes your happiness. It's closely linked to the idea where perhaps, if you put in a certain level of effort, put in a certain level of time, it can lead to frustration and disappointment, if you feel that your hard work, perhaps does not translate into, upward mobility or some form of financial security for that. And of course, that rolled in with, the high pressure lifestyles, the pursuit of academic professional success, long work hours, that contributes to, what you see today.
So our social connections or networks have dipped, but how does Singapore fare in comparison to our regional neighbours? We know that, Taiwan is ahead of us, while other East Asian countries did not score as well.
Well, to be fair, we are still the second, ranked in Asia Pacific as well as Southeast Asia. We are the second happiest after Taiwan. I believe we are above, regional peers like Japan and South Korea. What is notable though is that, Singapore's happiness has plateaued, right? While our ASEAN neighbors such as Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia have actually made notable gains. And this is primarily driven by, strong economic growth, perhaps tighter social bonds also. And in that report, we do see that, happiness is also tied, to economic growth, social bonds, some of these tranches or some of these themes. And countries like Vietnam, Philippines, they are quickly, narrowing the gap. This suggests that perhaps, some form of social cohesion, robust social cohesion, social network, social support, can significantly enhance happiness, even with lower baseline GDP levels. Globally, we do see that we are, still behind, the top-ranked Nordic countries. You have your usual suspects, Iceland, Finland, Norway. Indicates perhaps some room for improvement in, some of the non-economic dimensions of happiness, particularly things like work-life balance, community support.
Mr. Tay, before we go, what can be done to make Singapore a happier place or make Singaporeans happy? Because places like Mexico and Costa Rica are in top 10. They may not have the high income GDP per capita, but our analysts were saying that they have a strong sense of community and belonging.
Right. And I guess one actionable point, that need for pro-social acts to be kind to each other. We do see that World Happiness Report highlighting that, the happiness scores are explained in part by notions of, being generous or being kind and pro-social. And perhaps what we mean by being pro-social, I think there are 3 examples flagged out, donating to a cause, volunteering for a cause, helping a stranger. And we do know that kindness, community involvement have strong strong positive impacts on personal collective happiness. We do see studies consistently linking pro-social behaviors such as these to improve mental health, reduce anxiety, increase life satisfaction. So perhaps, that positive impact you exert on someone's life, that spirit of paying it forward, knowing or perceiving that positive impact contributes to your satisfaction or happiness too.
All right, many pathways to being happy. Thank you so much, Mr. Tay, for speaking with us. Melvin Tay, their research associate in the Institute of Policy Studies at Social Lab.